These are unusual things that you should know about living in the UK. They don't say pence unless something is less than a pound. So in America, we say things like it's $1.23. The British will say it is £1 23. They won't say pence at the end. If the item is less than a pound, then they will say, oh, that's 99 pence or 99p. But they will not say the pence if it's over a pound. Understatement is a British art form. They will say not bad, meaning excellent. They'll say, we have a bit of a problem here, meaning this is a total disaster. British people tend to avoid extremes in conversation. I don't know really where it comes from, but it's a cultural thing and they all do it. If you want to know a little bit more about that, I do go into depth on this video here that talks about British people, what they say versus what they actually mean. But basically, you have to understand that anything that British people say, just increase it by like 2 or 3 times. You'll probably accurate assessment of the situation. Light switches get pressed up to go off and down to turn on, which is the complete opposite of what happens in America, where you have to switch it up to turn it on and switch it down to turn it off. I still make this mistake even 2 years in. Doors will separate kitchen and living spaces in 98% of the homes. There's some open floor plans out there, and to be fair, I actually live in what's considered an open floor plan, but I still have a door that separates the living and dining space from the kitchen. This was unusual for me. I've never lived in a house that had this before. However, I have come to appreciate it, especially in the winter months when it's cold, because I don't have to turn the radiators on in any room except the living space. And I don't have to worry about heat escaping into the kitchen or space that we are not using. And it does actually make really practical sense. I assume that comes from a tradition of when the fire had to heat the room and all that kind of stuff. I've come to appreciate it by far, but just know that most of your homes will have a door separating the kitchen and living space, at the very least. British people will get on your case about not pronouncing consonants, even though they don't necessarily pronounce them either. Now, my partner is British, and I don't know if I've ever heard him pronounce a consonant unless he was really angry, usually at a football match. I get criticized constantly for saying Britain instead of Britain because they don't hear the T. One of the biggest catchphrases that I've heard in the southeast of England is in it. There's no pronunciation of consonants in there. I'm just going to leave it there. Just know that the countryside here in England is absolutely gorgeous and is definitely worth the drive, worth a walk if you can do it. Biking, motorcycling, any way you can view it, it's gorgeous. Especially in the springtime when everything is in bloom, it is stunning. However, in all of the countryside's beauty and glory here in Britain, it's equally as terrifying driving down some of these country roads, crossing a country lane, and riding a bike. I don't know how anyone has the guts to ride a bike on these country lanes. I'm just saying that. They're kind of heroes. That's all I'm going to say. Fire hydrants are not the red plug thing, the red structure that we have in America on the side of the road that kind of is inviting dogs to pee on them. Americans know what I'm talking about. Fire hydrants are actually underground and they just have kind of a grate over them that says fire hydrant on them. I didn't even realize this until like months into living here. I was walking and I was like, huh, I don't see any fire hydrants. Huh, I wonder how that works here. I've seen buildings that are for firemen and women. So I finally broke down and asked someone, and they're like, they're underground, which obviously the water gets pumped underground in America as well. We just have this like really bright, intrusive structure to advise everybody that this is a hydrant. Game shows in the UK aren't really about the game or about winning prizes. Most of the time, the prizes are awful, or if they do have a really good prize, it's probably minuscule as compared to what the equivalent would be in America. And no one takes them seriously, not even the contestants. These game shows are about having a laugh, making fun of people, making fun of each other, just really being silly. It's kind of the British way of doing things. They're very sarcastic and they're very self-deprecating. So if you are watching one of these shows and you're like trying to figure out what's going on, just know in the back of your mind that it really has nothing to do with the actual game or prizes. It has a lot more to do with them just wanting to take the piss out of each other. Postcodes here tend to be extremely specific. Postcodes in America are typically 5 numbers, and then sometimes they have a dash with 4 extra numbers, but no one ever really uses them unless it's official mail. It's usually that 5-digit number. That 5-digit number encompasses a wide radius of territory. Here, postcodes are specific down to, like, the street or even a section of the street. They narrow down your address very succinctly for it's great for people like delivery drivers and post people, but it's very weird for Americans. Coins are more important than you might think. Because the lowest paper bill that they have here in the UK is a £5 note, uh, I was kind of dismissive of having a lot of coins on me. I don't really like coins anyway, because in America, the largest coin you have that's in common circulation is a quarter, which is 25 cents, and you can't buy much with that. So, I might have a couple quarters on me just in case I needed an extra few cents when I was checking out. I never really carried coins around here in the very beginning when I first started living here. But I've come to realize that coins matter a lot more than you would think. Pound coins are used all the time for getting your grocery cart. Sometimes you need a pound coin for a parking meter or to use a public restroom. And also, there's tons of charity in Great Britain. So you definitely want to make sure you have some coins on you to donate if you're out and about on the high street or anywhere else in town. There you have it, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.